Excuse me, Brendon Will now joins.
Yeah, hello.
Hey, Brendon, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Will, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm in Poughkeepsie, New York right now. It's freezing.
Oh, cool.
Raining.
Are you on tour somewhere, or?
Yeah, I'm actually out with another band, a band that I tracked a record with. The singer's the runner-up from a show called The X Factor. So I'm out doing some dates with those guys.
Oh, excellent. Cool. Well, joining me to do the interview is Max. Max, say hi.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
How are you?
Good, man.
Well, we've got 15 minutes, so it's a pretty short interview. So I guess if you're ready, we'll jump straight in and tell us a little bit about the band, about White Noise L.
Okay. Well, it's a really interesting project because we hadn't actually met each other collectively before we actually went into the studio to record that first EP. We all knew about each other. I knew John from Snot, our bass player, and of course I knew Pete Murray, our singer, from Low Pro, and also Ultrasync. But we'd never actually met. And then Chris Shy, the guitar player, was a completely new guy, and had just done some work with Ben Gross, our producer and confidant and supporter. And Ben Gross is actually kind of the guy that brought a lot of this together, and he plays into the story moving forward. But basically, that's kind of what happened. And we got in there and made this this 4-song EP, and realized that it was something really special, and that regardless of what anybody else thought about it, but we all thought it was really special. It seems like people are starting to really gravitate towards it and feel the same way.
So you haven't actually met each other. I'm assuming it's the old and new technologies coming into the picture. The internet. You
guys have met, right?
I'm sorry. One more time.
You guys have met. It's not just a collaboration over the internet or something.
Oh,
you guys are a legitimate band, right?
No, absolutely. When we went in to record the first EP, this is a year and a half, 2 years ago, we hadn't actually met in person altogether.
Yeah.
But we've been, since then we've been together many, many times. So this is a legitimate band for sure.
So how did you guys decide on a style? Did you guys get together and just play what sounded natural to all of you guys, or how did you find something?
Well, I guess the concept at the conception, Chris, our guitar player, and Pete, our singer, kind of had some ideas, and we went in and kind of put our flavor in on that and kind of collaborated, and, brought that to fruition. But what happened was, like I said, once we were finished with that, we realized that there was something special about what we were doing. And so we got together over several different writing sessions and wrote, kind of as a collective. And that's the stuff that's being finished as we speak. Pete, I believe, just finished vocals on that stuff, yesterday. And what's really cool about it is that it still is very representative of the EP that you have now, but it's the next step. And what we realize is that we kind of don't really sound like anybody else, which is beautiful. We think, people say, well, what kind of music is it? It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't even really know what we would compare this to. It's very different. There's elements of Radiohead. There's elements of 30 Seconds to Mars. There's elements of, I don't even know what else. But it's its own thing, and that's why I think we all love it.
So you've played with bands like Evanescence, and you've drummed for Black Label Society as well. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Still in Evanescence.
What genre is your favorite to play drums for?
Anything that evokes an emotion in people. To be really honest, I love it all. It's like I just like I like seeing when I'm playing live. I like seeing people's reaction, and something moves people, whether like literally moving them, where they're jumping, or emotionally moving them, where they're feeling something. I like all of this music. I've been in other bands that are even heavier than anything that you just mentioned, and something that's really appealing about the power that those bands bring.
Okay.
So it's pretty much anything that evokes an emotion.
Okay, I'll rephrase Brandon's question. What has been in your CD, record player, or tape player, whatever is your favorite? What has been in your music player for last 5 years? the album you keep on coming back to and coming back. For me, it's quite simple. For me, it's Great White Hooked. Great White. That's me. But for you, what will it be?
What would be my favorite CD that I've been listening to for the last 5 years?
Well, I'm not saying the favorite CD, but number of favorite CDs.
Okay, well, something that I played on, or just in general?
Just in general.
Wow, that's a tough question.
I tried.
He does his best to bamboozle people, right?
Sorry.
I've got to think on that one. That's a tough one. God, what's something that I just really fell in love with and just loved over the last 5 years?
We can come back to it if you want. You can think about it. We'll ask you at the end.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah,
to it.
I'll tell you something.
Come back to
There's something I wanted to ask. How does you're Tommy Lee's drummer? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
How does a drummer such as Tommy Lee go about hiring a drummer? What was it about you that he thought was special that you were drumming on Methods of Mayhem, isn't it? And a couple of projects, his solo album as well.
That's correct. That's a pretty funny story, actually. I'm going to try to condense it really quickly, but basically I was on tour with my band Scrape that was signed to RCA. We were on the Extreme Metal Tour, which was Morbid Angel, Scrape, Static X, Slayer, and Pantera.
Ooh.
And at the time, Static X bass player Tony Campos was injured, which I actually ended up playing with Static X later, but that's a totally different story. But he was injured, and they had a guy out filling in for them on that tour by the name of Marty O'Brien. Now, Marty O'Brien was Tommy's bass player in Methods of Mayhem. And one day in passing, I ran into Marty, and he was on our tour bus. And I had never met Tommy, but obviously a huge fan. And I said, hey, man, what's it like hanging out with Tommy Lee? So we had this conversation. And at the time, Stephen Perkins from Jane's Addiction was the drummer for Methods of Mayhem. And so as Marty left the bus, I jokingly said to him, hey, man, if Stephen Perkins shits the bed, give me a call. I was totally joking. So needless to say, about 6 months later, he tracked me down through another person, and said, hey, you told me to call you if something happened. Well, I'm calling you. Tommy's auditioning drummers tomorrow in L.A. Can you get out here? And I live in Orlando, Florida, which is on the complete opposite side of the country. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I spent, like $1,000 on a plane ticket, and I flew out there. And so I get out there, and Tommy's his main guy. There's like 30 guys in the hallway, all practicing, learning stuff. And Tommy's main guy walks out, and he looks at me and says, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Will. I'm supposed to be here for an audition. He looks down his list. He's like, you're not even on the list. Get this guy out of here. So he tries to have me thrown out. And then as this is going on, they take a break, and Marty comes out with Tommy. He's like, hey, Willis, how you doing? I was like, hey, man, he's trying to throw me out. He looks at me, oh, this is my buddy that I was telling you about. He's like, go throw him out. So I auditioned. I was the 32nd guy to audition.
Holy
the last
shit.
guy. And they just, needless to say, I hit it off with Tommy really well. And it was a very cool audition because Brian Tichy was actually in the room because he was auditioning as well. So they put him on an electronic kit and put me on the acoustic kit. And we played, and Stephen Perkins was in the room helping out with the auditions, as was Tommy looking on. So it was, the pressure was on. But I got the gig, and it was a crazy story. It was very fun.
I want to know what really goes on tour bus. What is really happening there? I've been on a tour bus myself, and it's been total mayhem. It's been destruction. For you, what?
You would have seen some sights, yeah, definitely. With your experience, you would have seen all sorts of flavors of crazy by now, wouldn't you have?
or the people
Yeah,
sitting there checking Facebook?
I really read books is what I do. I take it easy. No, I mean, it depends on how old you are and what state of your life you're in. It's like I've seen it in all ways. I've seen it as much debauchery as you can imagine, and I've seen it to where it's nothing, and it has to be nothing because people can't. You kind of have to look at the bigger picture and think, okay, well, we can handle it, but this guy can't, so now we've got to kind of slow it down. So I've seen it in all ways, man. I mean, probably not in ways that I should talk about. But,
so do you think Steel Panther are actually checking the Facebook on tour bus? Or do you think they're shaking the bus driver?
I think, here's what I think. I think that stuff happened back when Motley Crue was, coming up, and they were on the Dr. Feelgood tour.
Yeah, but that's the only way to go, isn't it? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, you got to survive at the end of the day, right? The White Noise Owl.
Still got to work.
White Noise Owl, the guys in the band, pretty laid back guys. No one's wild child you got to watch out for.
No, not at all, man. I don't want to ruin the party for anybody, but we're all pretty spiritual people. It's like Pete's very into yoga and surfing. Chris, our guitar player is actually in medical school right now. So there you go.
Excellent. I mean, if there was anything that you'd be glad to get across with your music while you're doing White Noise Owl, is there any particular messages or anything like that you're particularly trying to convey? Does White Noise Owl stand for something over other things?
I think that's a really good question. I think that a lot of our lyrical content and a lot of what the music, inspires and emotion and stuff like that is it's a feeling of positivity. The song "Are You Breathing"? One of the biggest things that you learn in yoga, and the reason that I know this is that my wife is a yogi. She teaches yoga. I do yoga as well, and it's kind of I'm going to say that we're pushing yoga. But one of the things that happens in yoga is it's really important about breathing. And you learn a lot about yourself and how your body and your chakras and all these things kind of operate, and they, go to make you who you are. And I think that Pete's lyrical content has a lot to do with that. Has a lot to do with, just being spiritual and in touch with the world and the earth and who you are, and being happy with that, and being in a position where, you're living in the moment and you're enjoying every breath that you take. And I think that's probably if there is a message, that's probably the message.
So,
awesome.
Oh, sorry.
We got to wrap it up soon. We're just about out of time. So we got to come back around to the favorite CDs. Max, if you've got a quick question, and then closing statements, then we're going to round it up.
I'll go back to the favorite CDs.
All right.
I'll go back to the. Well, obviously, you probably don't, might not want to mention names, but you might want to mention names. The bands, the albums that have been stuck in your CD player for a long period of time.
House is burning down, you got room to grab, but you got to grab a couple of CDs fast, and then you're out of there.
Yes.
Yeah, God. I still can't answer that, man. It's so hard. So much stuff.
What did you hear that got you into music in the first place?
Yeah,
there's got to be maybe something that stands out, even if it isn't rock or metal. You could have heard jazz or something. And
it's weird. It's funny. Like I dig a really eclectic bunch of stuff, and I kind of listen to a lot of old stuff. And it's anything from like the early Motley Crue stuff, like the first two records, to the first two Led Zeppelin records, to the first two. I'm like a first two record guy for some reason. The first two Hendrix records. I really love like AC/DC, just any of that stuff. Like Highway to Hell constantly finds its way into my playlist. Back in Black, same thing. I'm kind of an old school guy, but then I'll turn right around and I'll listen to Michael Jackson, and I'll listen to Steely Dan, and I'll listen to just all that kind of stuff. It's all, I guess the recurring theme would be that it's all feel good music. It's all music that I put in, and no matter who I'm with, oh yeah, I dig this, I dig that. And as far as new stuff goes,
yes,
man,
yes.
To be quite honest, I haven't been inspired by anything new in a long time.
Hey.
I mean, I just haven't.
Not about inspiration, but new stuff. This is interesting because we had a conversation just before, and I was saying, well, look, listen, I'm a metalhead, all right? And
Right.
I've been saying I actually quite enjoyed the Ellie King album. I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good album.
Oh, it's a great record. That's a great record, man. And that's one. Okay, well, I got one. I do have one. The last Devin Townsend album.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Now you've got me on board, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does amazing things with sound, that man, doesn't he?
Oh, he's amazing. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
All right.
That's something that I've definitely gone back to.
Thanks, Will, for the interview. We don't want to go too much over because you've probably got a whole line of interviews piled up. And
thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah. Any messages for the New Zealand fans of White Noise Owl and or all of the other bands that you've been involved in?
Oh man, I just can't wait to get back over there. The last time I was there with Evanescence, and it was the first and only time I've been there, and it was just the most beautiful, amazing place. And I can't wait to get back with White Noise. I think that White Noise Owl will just be a great band for that country, and we can't wait to get over there. It'd be amazing.
Thanks very much. Great talking to you.
Well, I am gonna go. I'm gonna go and download the hell out of this album. Right? It's
on iTunes, of course.
No, illegally. No, I'm joking.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right.
See you, mate.
Thank you.
All right, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.